Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's Hector Aguilar of Aguilar Realty Group. Once again for our Wednesday video, our added value for our customers. And as always, I'm joined by my business associate, my team member. Hi, Ben.
Hey, how's it going, Hector?
It's going really, really well. Hey, just wanted to, this week, I wanted to focus on maybe talking to a local agent in Texas where we are going to kind of meet and see if we can talk to her a little bit about, relocating to Dallas, Texas specifically. I know that Texas is um, one of the top 10 destinations in the country as to relocating, people that are selling and relocating from one place to another. So, um, oh, it looks like she's on. Hi, Cece.
Hi, how
Oh,
are you?
We're
hi.
doing well, thanks. We were just
I
talking.
forgot to click enter the studio.
Yeah, we saw you there, and I was like, wait, she's on it. We're gonna add her on. So,
Yeah, I was
really,
like, where do I click?
not a problem. So we are live now, and like we mentioned, today we wanted to bring you a Cece Gonzalez Muir. She's a realtor out of Dallas, Texas, and we were starting to talk a little bit about Ben this week that a lot of Californians are leaving California and choosing one of 10 states, Texas being one of the top states that people are
Yes.
relocating to. So, Cece's been an agent in the Dallas Fort Worth market for a little over 14, maybe 15 years.
Yes.
And, I spoke to her this past week and I said, hey, I'd love to have you on, talk a little bit about Dallas and some of the intricacies about moving to Dallas, Texas. I know that she's helped a few families out do that already in the past. And so with no further avail, let's go ahead and talk to Cece. We're going to make it conversational and see if we can, provide some good value to some folks that might be thinking about, is it time to leave California with gas prices being so high, with the market being so high, maybe looking for space, maybe looking to build out. And so who better to be on with us than Cece? Thanks for taking the time, Cece,
Thank you.
and we appreciate it. I know we had an opportunity to hang out with Cece this past, I think it was November when we were in Dallas, right?
Yes.
A couple months ago, yeah.
Was
Yeah,
that a
so
few?
we got to know her really, really well and kind of catch up. Just so that you guys know, I have a history with Cece. I
Yeah.
went to the same high school together
Yes.
many moons ago, but
Yes. Well,
we were able,
hey.
well, maybe not that many, right? So we were able to
I don't
reconnect.
know.
We were able to reconnect and kind of start talking about referring each other business, knowing that people are leaving from California and going to Texas. So Ceci, tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience, and today's topic is making the move to Texas, and let's discover Dallas Fort Worth, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, basically, I think right now and for a while, I think affordability has always been an issue that California has had.
Right.
Um, People, being able to move into a home, buy a home, and that definitely is one of the reasons why a lot of people are moving to Texas.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Affordability is, Texas is economically very stable.
Mhm.
Even from back in 2007 and 2008, when we had the crisis, right, of everybody losing their homes and
Mhm.
whatnot, um, a lot of people started moving. But I think even more so now, with the fact that California is pretty much landlocked.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
Texas being it's actually the second largest state in the U.S.
Okay.
So a lot of the boom started with new building, new construction, and so then a lot of people started moving, and then it kind of just offset. And even through 2007 and to 2008, you know, Texas was very stable. They're very conservative, and so
Mhm.
I think that's the allure also of a lot of people is the conservative values. Also being able to raise a family. So along with the economic stability, there's a lot of different job markets here. You have the aerospace industry, you have manufacturing. Uh, you have a lot of that has also implicated, the growth spurt. Obviously, a lot of
Mhm.
tech companies are moving here.
Right.
Just recently, who was it? Elon Musk just recently
Right.
moved. Also, I think Google
Mhm.
is also moved to part of northern Austin, which is a 5-hour drive from here, south of here.
Right. I did read somewhere on the news that Texas is now like the new Silicon Valley, right? You have
Correct.
companies like Toyota,
Oh, yes.
Google. Elon Musk is going to be building a new facility in Texas. And
Correct.
it's also very business friendly. I know that
Yes.
the allure to Texas, and
Hmm.
not only Dallas Fort Worth, but Austin and Houston and
Correct.
El
In
Paso
Houston, and you have the
in
large port
general.
area.
Yeah, in
So
general, they're really pro business, right?
yes, correct. So along with you compass stability, the business, and then the values that they have, it makes it a very attractive place to be for a lot of families and young families, and then even empty nesters. Um, they also have created several facilities for retirement.
You know,
So
that's an interesting topic. With baby boomers and empty nesters. As we know that the biggest dollar volume of wealth is right now tied up in that baby boomer market, which is now empty nesters are downsizing, right? They're in a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, they're in a 4 bedroom, 3 bath, and all their kids are grown and their grandkids are grown, and many of their kids are now moving, right?
yes,
So they want to move and be closer to family, and so that's a really interesting topic that Texas is taking steps to not only receive them but also create facilities for their health and other things that will support that market. So definitely seeing a lot of exodus in that group. Uh,
yeah, and I was looking at some
On that
statistics.
note,
Huh? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
I was gonna say on that note, I mean, millennials are on the next
Yes,
rise,
they
becoming
are. They're the
big
second
on
largest
homes.
buying
Do you
group.
see that happening a lot right now in
Yes,
your area?
correct. Especially in the downtown city, closer to the downtown, you see a lot of the millennials
mhm,
moving in. They're the ones that are buying. Actually, one of my buyers who actually was coming from California, um, he was looking in the downtown area, and millennial. I've had other millennials as well, but nurses that were in that age bracket, and also buying.
mhm.
And so those are the two largest markets right now: is the millennials and the empty nesters, the
So
baby boomers.
let's talk about the reason why, right? And it comes down to affordability of available homes, right? Like in Southern
Yeah,
California, man, you and I are seeing markets right now that honestly are probably higher than they were before the crash of 2007, 2008. Uh,
yes,
we're in La Puente. Our office is in La Puente. We serve the East San Gabriel Valley and Inland Empire, and we're starting to see markets that at one point, were 300, 350. Now homes are selling for 650, 700, closer to 800, and so affordability becomes an issue, right? So
correct. 'Cause,
for a first time home buyer, that may not be
yeah,
accessible.
correct.
So what does that mean? What
I
happens?
ran the
They move
numbers.
out.
I ran numbers, and the median price right now is 313,500. So you're right in
Wow.
that sweet spot, right, where you're still looking at homes. Anything under the $300,000 range, obviously, is going to be something that's an investment. It's sometimes they are. You find these rare gems that are untouched, but still,
Mhm.
people still want to bring them up to date and fix them and so forth. But the median price is at that $300,000 range.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I think in Southern California, Ben, our median price point is what, like 500, 550
I
in
think
our
it went
market?
up to 650 in our
oh
local
my
area.
God,
Yeah,
yes,
650. And of course, affordability is a big factor. So
yes,
families are now starting to see, wow, for us to afford a property of 650, I mean, we're gonna need at least 3 or 4 incomes. And not
yes.
only that is they're faced with the challenge of the house is small, right? You're talking about a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, typically under 1,300 square
Yeah,
feet.
you're talking, no more than 1,500,
Built
1,650 square feet. Yeah.
exactly built in the mid 50s, probably needs a lot of upgrades. And guess what? There's a ton of buyers that are competing for that property. So naturally, the affordability of homes is part of the reason why we're seeing a massive exodus from California.
Yes,
That and I think we talked a little bit about economy, right? Affordability, gas prices, opportunities for jobs, and it's good to at least have an option, right? I know I looked at your website, Ceci, and I saw tons of great properties that
yes,
were under 350, under 400, and man, I even looked at homes that were comparable in the 600 range, and I mean it's night and day. You get for 600,000 in Dallas, Texas, on a 7, 8,000 square foot lot, you get a 2 story under 3,000 square feet. You can't get that here for no less than 850, 900. So
Correct.
Definitely a good.
I just had a new listing come on, yes, late last night. And yeah,
Uh-huh.
675, 3,800 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bath, and
Wow.
it's move-in ready.
Wow. I mean,
So yeah,
675 here in La Puente gets us what, a 3 bedroom, 2 bath under 1,200 square feet, Ben?
wow, yes.
I have
Yeah.
another question.
Go ahead.
With economics, it was a interesting topic that was brought up in my networking event yesterday, and we were talking about how the movement and the shift of how people are working remote now. There a lot of jobs are requiring them to go back. Has that shift the economy and the real estate in Texas? And have you seen like people wanting to move to buy more houses or even sell?
It's been interesting. So we've seen some people move from a smaller home to a more out of the city and
Oh,
bigger, because of the fact that they're having to now do like a hybrid of work from home and then
Mhm.
work,
okay.
and then it's a hybrid, right? Some
Yeah,
days they might go to the office, and then some days they're going to be back at home, and then
yeah,
obviously homeschooling. And so
yeah,
we've seen that shift where people have bought bigger, right, and
yep,
out of the downtown area, and be able to have a flexible workspace at home is very important now, and
yeah,
have another bonus area for the children to do homeschooling as well.
yeah,
So yeah, you have seen that shift,
Right.
definitely.
And it brings the topic of, Dallas Fort Worth being centrally located. I mean, when we visited there a few months ago. I mean, it took us like 35, 40 minutes to kind of get outside of the downtown area. And the
yeah,
landscape completely changed. So, we
Yeah.
talked a little bit about centrally located. Here in California too, we're experiencing a lot of that hybrid right now. Now companies are wanting people to start coming back to work, but they're coming in 2 to 3 days a week and working from home the other 2 or 3 days.
Correct.
So that's caused the same thing here. Is people are now that we're working in downtown. For example, I have a client that we just helped them purchase in a little town called Nuevo, California. It was just on the other side of Paris's mountains. She works for a law firm in downtown LA. She probably commutes maybe twice a week. The other
wow,
3 days she's working from home. And so what that costs for her and her family, she's got a big family. She said, I'm selling my home in Riverside off the 91 and the 15, and I'm
Wow.
going further east. And she got herself a 2 acre property,
Nice.
relatively affordable. But that hybrid situation between working from home and having to commute
Allows for the
definitely opened up the market as well. But
correct.
nonetheless, our Southern California market is extremely higher than places like Dallas, Texas. So that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about. And in the event that people didn't have the ability to buy something or didn't want the inventory that's currently there, I know you mentioned that there's available land just outside of Dallas, Texas, within
Oh
45
God,
minutes
yes.
to an hour, and
And
they
not
can
even,
buy,
I mean,
they
there's
can
even
build.
correct. There's also little smaller towns, that are in proximity to like a 25-minute drive,
Mhm.
in the outskirts and towards, and you can find an acre, 3 acres, 5 acres. I mean, I even had a client who actually, he's growing. He does organics for restaurants.
Okay.
So we were on the hunt for acreage, and we were
Okay.
able to find a flat land, because obviously there has to be no flood. I mean, there's a lot of things that play into it. What do they need it for, right?
Right.
Um, and so we were able to find him 26 acres, and it
Wow.
wow,
was like, oh my God,
26.
To the moon, I'm sure.
he was ecstatic. I mean, the couple that was selling it, they were moving somewhere they had a retirement home in Arizona, and so they just figured, we're done.
Yeah.
And they
No,
sold him everything, the
it's oh
car,
wow.
the lawnmower, everything. Just give
Oh
it to him.
nice.
You can have it.
They
And
just
and
they
so
just got their clothes and left.
yes, yeah,
That's
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah, the only thing that they almost didn't leave him was the dog.
It's
But
interesting. Like here in California, for you to get acreage, I mean, you would have to go honestly probably like to Hesperia, Apple Valley, and you're lucky if you get 2, 3 acres, 5 acres, or maybe get out towards the low desert like Lancaster and Palmdale. I mean, there's really nothing in that
no,
acres that you can think of here locally, because everything is on average, if you're lucky, an acre and a half in some of the luxury markets, common size lots, and most communities are going to be somewhere between 6 to 7,000 square feet. So, the fact that people can actually buy land. I know I was speaking to one of my family members that are thinking about maybe relocating to Texas. They're thinking, hey, if we buy a 10-acre lot and then subdivide, and we can have each of our kids, build their own home on each of those lots. It'll be more affordable. And because the truth is that it's just getting so unaffordable here in Southern California, that younger generations like our children, they may not be able to buy a property in
I'm
Southern
going to run
California.
just some numbers that I was looking at. I pulled these from Concordia and Texas A&M University. They do these reports, and so basically they were saying that the Texas living is 31% lower than California.
Wow.
31%. I was like,
that's
wow.
a big gap.
Yes.
That can afford a family for maybe like the wife, the mom, to stay at home and raise the kids. I mean, here in California, you need a dual income to buy, maybe even the parents as well. I mean, we've had situations where, 3 or 4 families are buying together, right? I mean, it's just that unaffordable, right, Ben? I mean, we've had couples
I think a great thing to mention here for those that are just maybe beginner investors, or, just emotionally thinking, hey, I want to leave California and Texas looks like a great spot. Keep in mind, because I'm preaching to myself, the affordability, the type of money you make are different in California compared to Texas. Yeah. So, just keep that in mind. If you're emotionally like, hey, I'm done with California, I'm gonna hop on that bandwagon and go to Texas. Just keep in mind your affordability, your economics in your pocket is not going to be the same, and that's why Dallas is a good option if California is not a good option, because the money that you make will be different, but it also comes with the type of homes that you can pick as well. So.
Yeah, and another thing is that you're able to save, right? You're able to have a different quality of life. For your family, for your children. And so I think that definitely is a factor for a lot of people to consider. I had a client who was a truck driver, and he was fortunate enough that his company also has a hub here in Texas. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, he contacted me and he was like, I want to move to Texas. And I said, okay, so what's your time frame? I mean, why are you wanting to move? And he says, well, I cannot afford to buy a house here, and I have my wife and I have my daughter. My wife is still on the fence, but my daughter, she's like excited because it's a new place. But I want to definitely be able to purchase this home. So then we got him with the lender. And then finally he was qualified, conventional, great. And then we started looking, because one of his parameters was he wanted new construction. But everybody wants new construction.
Sure.
So, there was lists and lists, and we went to builder after builder, and we were able to find him a home. Nice. And so he was excited, and he was like, how soon am I going to be able to move? And I said, I'm thinking like within 30 days. And he was like, no. And I said, yes. The lender was like, look, I can close this in 22 days max if you want to move. And so he was like, let's do it. I mean, he was so excited that, yes, we ended up, and it was like, he couldn't believe it, that it was like that fast that he was moving.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I know, Ben, thank you for bringing that up. Speaking about, bringing up the idea of wages and income and things like that. I mean, I know that, I asked Cece for a quick outline, and, we wanted to talk a little bit about businesses and flourishing. I think in general, like right here in Southern California, our minimum wage now is just north of $15.50, if I'm not mistaken. So, what's the minimum wage?
Oh my God.
What's the minimum wage in Texas right now?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Depends on the employer. Mm-hmm. And obviously there is a Texas mandated, but some of the employers are not wanting to lose. I've been seeing signs where it says 15 at Target, $22, in certain places an hour for wages that people thought like, wow, I'm going to have this job and I'm never going to be able to be able to get more money, but they have. I think
Absolutely.
the employers also have to be on that
Competitive.
because inflation has also gone up, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
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 So
I
that's
mean,
something
inflation
that
is a national effect, right? It's got an effect
correct.
across the country. We're all experiencing the pinching of pennies and the cost of things that are going up. But relatively, we know that Texas is a lot more affordable, and you could probably get a lot more bang for your buck. And the key is this is, and Ben touched on it, right? It's lifestyle, right? Do you want to live a comfortable lifestyle where you can enjoy your home, not be stressed out, maybe have your spouse stay at home, help you raise the kids, enjoy some space, and be in a community where or at least in a metropolis that's continuing to grow.
Yes.
Many companies are choosing Texas, and not only Dallas but other areas as well. That
I
they
could
see
read
the
you off
need.
the list.
I'm sorry,
Right.
I could read you off the list.
right?
We have obviously Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
With up and down all of Texas. Charles Schwab,
Mm-hmm.
KVP International,
Mm-hmm.
which located themselves in McKinney, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
We have Comerica, AT&T, which are the past ones that have relocated here.
Mm-hmm.
NTT Data, Jacobs, CBRE, right? Commercial real
Mm-hmm.
estate.
Mm-hmm.
They're in downtown. We have Toyota, who was when they moved here, it was, a big, ooh, Toyota's moving.
A big wave of relocation, right? We're talking
Yes.
about thousands, hundreds of thousands of employees that moved from primarily Southern California because they were based out of Torrance, right off of the 405 and the 91.
Oh, God, yes.
I knew where their building is still there. It still has a marquee, but all their operations are now in Texas. So
Correct.
again, just proof that there's definitely employments available, that you're going to be, prosperity is attainable. You're not going to, be without a job, or there's opportunities to relocate. I know my
Yes.
brother-in-law is considering relocating through his company, who is thinking about building a hub there. And so that's where that
Oh, nice.
conversation has started. So, one of the other attractions of Dallas, Texas, of course, is there's less traffic, right? Many of us are tired of traffic. I mean, what's traffic like in Dallas, Texas?
Well,
Cece?
with the growth, also there has been expansions to the existing infrastructures, the highways, the tolls. There's been numerous tolls that have been added to the areas. They've expanded the light rail, which is the DART, which everybody, if you're not commuting on the freeway or on the highway or on a road, you're on the DART. And with the growth, obviously, and a lot of people moving in, obviously the flow of the traffic has changed. But obviously it's expected, but it's manageable. We're not bumper to bumper for like 2 hours, right? It's like a 45 minutes sometimes but at peak hours, obviously. And
Right.
that's normal. And with all the incoming and going, obviously the flow, I mean, for me, it's the dynamics have changed. And
It's interesting because when
they
we're
get
in Dallas,
adapt. Huh?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. When we're in Dallas, I noticed there's a lot of fairways, a lot of tollways.
Yes.
And then what are those side access roads called next to the freeway?
I always tease my husband about them.
What are they called?
The expressways.
The expressway. So, which is kind of cool, right? Like
Yes.
there's the main highway
And
or
the
the
frontage road.
freeways, which is like 3 or 4 lanes, and then there's express lanes that are just
Yes.
2 lanes on each side.
Correct.
And there's
Or the
there's all
frontage
kinds
road.
of ways to get around Dallas, Texas. And I think in general, when I was in Houston a couple years ago, I noticed the same thing. So they have that similar structure, but tons of space. It's not as jammed. And of course, we did see some high traffic periods, but it was nothing like LA for sure.
No. I
So
know.
that's another positive thing. Talk to us a little about, recreation. You mentioned recreational areas, activities for families. Tell
Correct.
us a
So
little bit about that.
recreational areas, there's several lakes throughout the metro areas, and so there's bikes, trails, green spaces, obviously a lot of museums. You do have a nightlife, and you do have, event centers, venues, music places. They have done a lot. I mean, they've even with the sporting venues, they also have the American Airlines Center. You have the AT&T. You have all these places that have just also grown and accommodated to the growing cities and the growing needs of people to, obviously have other things to do besides just work and go to home.
Yeah,
And
I noticed that when we were there was like, obviously I'm a big Cowboys fan, even being from Southern California. So we visited AT&T Stadium, and then right
yeah,
next door is the
Globe
Rangers
Life.
Stadium, which was
Texas
nice.
A&M, big
We have
football.
the Texas Rangers, and then Texas A&M. That's down more like toward College Station
College,
in
yeah.
Austin.
In Austin,
That's all pretty. I love all
yeah,
that.
no, it's beautiful.
Another thing that that's been growing also is also the wineries. They've done a lot of growth with the
Oh,
wineries.
really?
Oh, is that right? I wasn't
So
aware of that.
towards like Austin, a little bit north, it's called Fredericksburg, and
Okay.
there's been a boom with that as well. So a lot of people use that as places to go, on a weekend to get out of the city, to go,
Right.
they'll go into the country. And there's a lot of other places that have been growing like west of here towards Mineral Wells. There's a large group of investors that are going to be they're going to be revamping this new hotel, well, old hotel, but they're revamping it. It was
Right.
the Baker Hotel, which used to be an army base out in Mineral Wells. And they're going to be doing it like a getaway retreat place where there's going to be a spa. And so it's even brought a revival to that little town as well.
Nice.
And the PGA Resort, now the Byron Nelson, they're going to be opening up in the Frisco area. It's huge and it's beautiful. And it's like, you're talking about the Byron Nelson, and it used to be held in Las Colinas when they would come here in the Dallas area. But now it's an exclusive now just to the PGA. Their own resort.
Cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
And that's out in the North Dallas area here. And it's beautiful.
So it sounds like there's definitely tons of things to do, tons of activities, tons of family attractions. I know Six Flags Texas is there too. I saw it when I was driving by. Yeah, so tons of good stuff.
And they're the original. They are from Texas. I always, as a child, would always go, and I'm like, oh, I love Six Flags. And then I realized that the flagship is here in
that is cool. I didn't know that either. I mean, we used to
yes, the Wick family
all the time when we were teenagers.
They're Texans.
Right on.
Arlington. So this is a big one, Cece. Maybe you can talk about that. Everyone would love Texas for is the no state taxes.
Oh yes, awesome. No state taxes. You know, I mean, so that's a big one. There, for people, you're able to not have to pay. Well, we do have a large oil industry as well here in Texas, so they're able to absorb a lot of that as well. And that's, we're talking about old money, right?
So we're talking about, is that no state income tax, or are we talking about sales tax?
No state income tax.
So no state income tax. There are some sales taxes in the local cities, right?
Correct. Yes, that is. Yes.
Still, on average, what are you seeing in terms of sales tax? What are you seeing on average? 7%?
No, it's about 7%. I think there was an increase, and so we're probably around close to 8% now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right on. That's awesome. I mean, that's definitely an attraction, right? No state income tax. It's similar to like Nevada and Florida that offer that incentive for people that maybe, it's a little savings in their pocket. I know that California, I think our state income tax more or less is about 18% of our income, 18 to 20%. So you're talking about, even if you make less money, it's okay. You're gonna offset it by not having to pay state income tax. You're just gonna have to pay federal income tax. So tons of benefit there.
Yes.
What's our next topic, Ben?
We have
if you can share with us about the education schools. I think we talked about A&M being one of the top.
Yes, so Texas A&M, SMU, Baylor, correct. The Baptist University, the Women's University, UNT, which is a large. They have several campuses. UNT. So yeah, top-notch schools. Actually, I had a friend come visit from LA. And she's a counselor, and apparently they were doing some kind of where they were exposing him to some kind of training, and she actually came to one of the campuses, and she's like, wow, she's like, I wish I would have came. If I would have known that the school system was that good, I would have opted to come here.
Right.
And I said, really? She says, wow, I was blown you just by when she went to that campus and to visit, and she was like, it's amazing.
It's interesting. I know that Texas has a lot of higher education facilities, universities and colleges, but, let's talk about like elementary, middle school, and high schools. Like I visited some of these schools when I was in Houston, Texas a couple of years ago. Let me tell you guys, these schools, they're like junior colleges here locally. I mean, they just have these massive campuses, tons of space. I mean, state-of-the-art football stadiums and sports. I mean, they're just amazing. But
Yeah,
overall, I mean,
because they love football.
oh yeah, they do. I know Texas is huge on football and
We
baseball
are.
too, but
Yes.
definitely football. And
Oh,
tell us a little bit
fabulous.
about the like that age group, like for families that are moving with young kids. I mean, what's the school system like there?
Well, we do have several school systems. Like the biggest one here is Dallas DISD, and
Uh-huh.
then Richardson ISD. Those in the area here, and then you also have Frisco ISD, Little Elm ISD.
Mhm.
So, and each one, like in areas, they're pretty stable and they're pretty good. I mean, DISD is one of the largest one. Fort Worth is the other big one, but for the most part, the educational system, is they're good.
So,
I know that.
award-winning, good education, accessibility to classrooms, all that good stuff. Good education system.
Correct.
Right
Yes.
on.
And that's one of the first things that a lot of people, on top of the fact of location, they always ask is the schools, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm all for one to always tell them, look at the local website. I'll give you, like, depending on what county they're going to be in, then I'll send them the county that's associated with that school system, the link.
Awesome. Awesome.
That way they can research whatever it is, because sometimes people they have their performing arts, or they
Right.
want to go into socials or science, and so some of them have already been specific, and now with the whole hybrid of now they have academies. That's
Mm.
another thing that you can send them as well when you give them the information, depending on what areas they're looking to move to. Then that's when I'm able to tailor it a little bit more personal to what they're
Right.
looking for, and I'll send them those links so that they can research on their own.
For sure. And speaking of schools, I mean, the reality is one of the top searches when families are looking for property to buy or move to is how are the schools rated, right? And so if you can provide that information, that helps them make a decision sooner and
Correct. Yeah.
faster, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, with schools comes, excuse me, the sports culture, right? We know that,
Yes.
if you go to a good middle school, good high school, we're seeing a lot of colleges, not only in Texas, but across the country, recruit at high levels from, local high schools, from, tons of talented athletes, in Texas, Florida, California, Arizona, and some of those places. So I
But
know
look
the sports
at the
culture is
Rams
huge,
quarterback,
right?
Highland Park, here in Dallas, Texas. I mean, they were so proud of him.
Oh, I can
They did.
imagine.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So the quarterback from
So I
the
mean, I know that the sports culture is huge in Texas, and there's opportunity. And Ben is a huge Rams fan. He was
and
elated when he won.
he had they were so proud of
Proud,
him.
proud, Al.
Well, Ceci,
Yes.
let's go ahead and recap really quick. First of all, I wanted to thank you for taking the time
Oh
to
no, thank you
share
guys.
some insights on Dallas, Texas, and the opportunities in a 2-3 minute section here. Just recap, what your feelings are in Texas, and of course, those of you that are thinking about maybe if you own a home here in Southern California, we can certainly help you sell it, maybe help you relocate. We'll put you in touch with Ceci. We can also help you buy here local if you want. But there's an option, at least you have the opportunity, at
Yeah.
least the idea now that we can refer you to someone. And Ceci speaks Spanish, so
Sí, hablo
totalmente habla español.
español.
Es bilingüe también,
También
just like
hablo
myself.
español.
Ben, not so much. Ben, not so much. But that's okay, Ben. We
Oh,
got you
yes.
covered.
Sí,
Un
sí se
poquito.
puede. Sí se
Poquito,
puede.
Sí se
poquito.
puede.
But tell us, once again, just recap.
So
the
basically,
opportunities that you see.
obviously the job opportunities, the home affordability, the fact that, quality of life is different. You have a lower cost of living, the weather. Obviously, we have like a little hiccup here and there with the winter that we call it, but it just comes to mess up the flow. That's all.
Right.
And it's like 10, 15 days of like
Bitter
ice,
coldness.
because they don't even get snow here.
Oh, that's good. Well, I mean, if you're
But it's
afraid of
ice.
snow, if you don't want to go like to Idaho or Colorado or like the
Yes.
northwestern states, and you don't like snow, then Texas might be a good place for
So
you.
I mean, you have you're able to do food activities. You're able to do a lot of things, obviously. And the good thing about one important thing too is that nationwide, Texas is centrally located, so
Right.
you can travel anywhere on a plane. Because obviously we have DFW, we have Love Field, and we have other airports down, but from those, you have a vantage point of anywhere to be there in 4 hours on an airplane.
4
because
hours or
we're
less.
centrally located. Correct,
Yeah,
depending on where you're going, right?
correct.
But we're so centrally located that it has a good accessibility to many other places, you know?
Awesome. Awesome. Well, once again, Cece, thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate you sharing your insights on Dallas, Texas, as a location
Well,
where
thank
people
you
can
guys.
relocate to.
Thank you.
Thank
Once
you.
again, if you guys are thinking about selling here locally and thinking about relocating to Texas, and maybe Dallas is on your radar, give us a call. We'd love to put you in touch with Cece. We'll definitely put together an analysis for your local home here where we can help you sell it for top dollar, so you can take all your dollars to Texas and still have plenty of leftovers. So
Sure,
anyway,
get
thanks
a
for
game
joining
plan
us.
going.
Right?
Yeah,
Thanks for
that's what I
joining
always
us.
tell my clients.
Yes.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Once again, I'm Hector Aguilar, and Ben, your agent with Aguilar Realty Group here with eXp Realty. Thanks for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you next Wednesday for our next episode of the Aguilar Realty Group show. So we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Cece.
All right, thank you guys. You have
See
a
you,
great
Ben.
day.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right. Bye.